I'm higher smallness is still on their mind. Smallness is a good time. Neighbor and some little children. I'm gonna sing and that's really admire them. Yes, they're singing. Ching, ching, ching. In a bar. See for mama. Get 10 fat chickens. And ask you for one. And she won't give me one. You see that girl named Dorothy. She fat like a butter. And she muggle like a chow. Oh, smallness is still on my mind. Smallness is a good time. Never had some little children. I'm gonna sing it and that's really admire them. What they're singing? On your carpet, you must be like the roses. All you need, bright and shining. You must be, and show me the one. Love the best. When I marry, I give you the ring. First the girl, second the boys. Sunday, Monday, afternoon. We will spend our honeymoon. Oh, smallness is still on my mind. Smallness is a good time. Neighbor, some little children. I'm gonna sing and that's really admire them. Join the singing. Old man house on fire. The old man ran away. He ran for the police to get the water. The only fire down the escalator. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Escalator, shoo, shoo, shoo. And now wipes the lady face. The lady wipes the lady face. And she fell down, and she fell down, and she fell in the ocean too. Oh, smallness is still on my mind. Smallness is a good time. Neighbor, some little children. I'm really singing and that's really admire them. Hear them singing? Children, children. Yes, mama. Where you been? Grandmama. What she give you? Bread and cheese. Where is mine? On the shelf. How me go get up? I'm on the chair. So what's it called? Peanut cake. Bad picnic. Peanut cake. Wicked picnic. Peanut cake. Oh, smallness is still on the mind. Smallness is a good time. Neighbor, some little children. I'm gonna sing it and that's really admire them. I'm gonna sing it and that's really admire them. I'm gonna sing it and smallness is still on my mind. Smallness is a good time. Neighbor, some little children. I'm gonna sing it and that's really admire them. Smallness is still on my mind. Smallness is a good time. Neighbor, some little children. I'm gonna sing it and that's really admire them. Yes, they're singing. Ching, ching, ching. In a bar. See for mama. Get 10 fat chickens. And ask you for one. And she won't give me one. You see that girl named Dorothy. She fat like a butter. And she muggle like a chow. Oh, smallness is still on my mind. Smallness is a good time. Neighbor, some little children. I'm gonna sing it and that's really admire them. What they're singing? On your carpet, you must be like the roses. All you need, bright and shining. You must be, and show me the one. Love the best. When I marry, I give you the ring. First the girl, second the boys. Sunday, Monday, afternoon. We will spend our honeymoon. Oh, smallness is still on my mind. Smallness is a good time. Neighbor, some little children.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Killian Mall, 162 Lamaha Street in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins firm.
Mr. Watt, he has armed himself shots. Shots, watch it, tear gas. Live rounds. Also, I can see that.
Good evening and welcome to Straight Up. My name is Mark Benschop. We're going to rock and roll for the next hour right here on 107.1 FM. My guest this evening is no stranger to you guys. He has been around the block, so to speak. He has been in the struggle. He has been fighting against injustices, political persecution, and all manner of things. And also his main item, his main menu is fighting for workers' rights. No stranger to you guys. That happens to be that person. Sorry, happens to be Lincoln Lewis, veteran trade unionist. He's with us this evening. I want to talk to him about some stuff, some very, very important stuff happening in Guyana. You see the photograph that our operator Lemon has up there, apartheid in Guyana. I want to ask him specifically what are his thoughts on this, whether he is of the view that there is what we consider to be apartheid in Guyana. You saw the video there with persons on the east coast of Demerara being treated in that manner, kind of reminiscent of what happened in apartheid South Africa. And now we are seeing apartheid Guyana under the installed PPP regime. Lots of things I want to ask our guest this evening, Lincoln Lewis. And then again, many years ago, it was Lincoln Lewis who coined this term, economic genocide. We are seeing that again, economic genocide. I want to ask his position on that. But at the moment, we ask that you share the link. Do just as you have been doing all day. All day long, you guys have been sharing the link about some guy by the name of Roy who got up here, got his green card from Cavita, and all manner of things. And the same energy you guys have to discuss that and share that link. Why can't you guys share this link and discuss matters of far more importance to all of us in terms of the future of Guyana? Kavita got her future. She will move on soon with a replacement of Roy. Roy already gone with his replacement, and Tattoo Guy seemed to be the lucky guy. Roy has gone away. We don't know. We don't care. But the point I'm making, the same energy you have, you guys have to discuss Roy and Kavita. Discuss Mark and Lincoln Lewis this evening right here on 107.1 FM. So let's prepare to get our guest on this evening, Lincoln Lewis. But before we do, let's get back into why we say Guyana is now apartheid Guyana under the installed PPP regime. We'll be right back with our guest, veteran trade unionist, Lincoln Lewis.
Mr. Watts, he's armed himself shots. Shots, watch it, tear gas. Live rounds. Also, I can see that.
Just for Quindon!
The man is a boxer, man. Why can't put in a boxer, man, to do that?
But since my cousin there, no, you come on the East Coast.
You listen to me.
Right? No, you come on the East Coast.
You listen to me now.
You gotta listen to me too, man.
I am listening to
Right?
you.
Now, I see you on the East Coast. The day when they get a protest of them, the next day, that's when you see one bigger heads come up to talk to my family. Right? And that's bad. If you didn't do a protest, that you want to see nobody for justice. You see? I'm not holding back nothing. I'm not holding back nothing. I just need justice of my family.
I get visitors all of a sudden. You watching? All of a sudden, you all have visitors. This is Joker. Who is that Joker? That piece of plum. They know who they never know.
Yes, again, good evening and welcome to Straight Up. Our guest, Lincoln Lewis, is with us this evening. We will talk. We'll get right off in the batting, and we want to hit some stuff for six because we are not going to let go in terms of exposing what's happening in Guyana. Apartheid Guyana, we say, but let's first begin by welcoming our guest this evening. No stranger to you, Lincoln Lewis. Good evening. How are you, sir?
Good night.
Yes, good evening, sir. How are you?
Oh, we are going to have a good night. Good night to the viewers, my friends, my brothers, my sisters, and all my witnesses.
Yes, I wish your camera could come a little closer. You're dark. We just can't see much of you. We want the people to be able to see who Lincoln Lewis is. So we'll just remove you from the screen so that your makeup artist and everybody can just fix your studio there a little bit. You're coming over very, very dark. We'll get back with Lincoln Lewis shortly whilst he fixes his camera. We know that electricity bill is kind of like gone right up, skyrocketed under this installed PPP regime. But we know Lincoln Lewis is going to fix his camera, fix his studio, fix every single thing. Come a little closer because I want you guys to see him up close and personal. We got lots and lots of things to talk about, especially about the, I was about to say the catfish regime, but at the end of the day, it is the apartheid regime in Guyana. I'm not sure if our guest this evening has fixed his situation there in his studio. Because we want you guys to see him. And all they need to do is to position the camera so that my good friend Lincoln Lewis can make his presentation without any sort of interruption. But before we get back to Lincoln Lewis, there's some things that we need to discuss with. Oh, there goes the ambassador to U.S. Ambassador to Guyana, Miss Sarah Ann Lynn. She's right there in the background, right next to that Army commander that's there in Guyana, shaking that. Oh gosh, sometimes I don't know. I'm a bit embarrassed, but the suit and the tie and I don't know. Sometimes people may say, why focus on those things? They really make no difference. Of course, it makes a difference. Presentation matters, right? Anyways, the Army General, she's in the country, just paid this guy, this installed president, a visit. Installed president a visit, who is basically the chief architect right now over the Apartheid Guyana. Apartheid Guyana, that is what it is. And so before we get back to our guest, Lincoln Lewis, let me welcome all of you, all the people out in the Nanstill. Good evening to you, Rhonda Lane, the people out in the diaspora, Brenda Casey, Karen Clark, every single one of you, Emily Durant, and we can't forget the guys, them too, right? Mark, Doris, and others. Those of you who are listening to us in Guyana, whether you're in South Rumveld, you are on the East Coast, West Coast, you're in Linden, you're on the quarantine, wherever you are. Good evening and welcome to Straight Up. We are going to get ready to head back to our guest who is in Guyana, Mr. Lincoln Lewis. But before we do, there's some other things I've noticed. I have noticed that a policeman was actually charged. Yeah, a policeman was actually locked up, not yet charged, but locked up after hitting down a pedestrian. Locked up. You arrest a policeman for that, but yet the relative of this so-called prominent businessman, Azardine Mohammed, cannot be arrested. The relative of this so-called prominent businessman, after I think there was an accident on Mandela Avenue where 2 persons died. But this so-called prominent businessman's relative was never arrested, according to reports, was never arrested. But yet they're going to jump. They're going to jump to arrest a policeman. Look, if anybody struck somebody down, they ought to be arrested and let that investigation begin. But you can't leave the scene of an accident and you move away and you this because you believe that you're high and mighty and goddamn powerful. We cannot have a country being run like that at all. And so when I saw the article with the policeman being detained, probably taken to the police station and all manner of thing, the big question that I'm asking myself, why is it that that policeman was actually, it's good that that policeman was subjected to that. But what about Azardine Mohammed's relative? Who the hell are these people? Are they so above the law that the police can't touch them? Are they untouchables? Well, but then again, speaking of untouchables, you know what I mean. Let's get back to Brother Lincoln Lewis. Look what. No, we can try to. We can deal with this now. Mr. Lewis, good evening and welcome to Straight Up again.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, thank you. Let's begin right away, right off the bat. Let's not everybody almost know who you are by now, so there is no introduction. Veteran trade unionist Lincoln Lewis is with us this evening. Let's begin with this here. People have coined this. What is it? The description now of Guyana under the PPP regime, and I agree with this sort of description right now. Apartheid Guyana. What is your take on this description, Apartheid Guyana? You're there on the ground. Let's hear from you, sir.
Basically, it fits what in the society. While they remote this one Guyana. One Guyana to me means what is seen or happening around here is that one group of people get the heart of what the nation provides. Another group will have to govern to have something from what Guyana provides. You can talk that whether the regime, whether it is Mali and new gang we have been, they're not being properly elected and type of thing. And regardless of what one may say, They are in office, receiving you're receiving the salary as you're receiving the salary as a vice president, and the other ministers are receiving salaries and benefits. That is the taxpayers' money. The taxpayers have paid tax to the state, and regardless of the circumstances, they have sworn to hold the Constitution and the laws of this land, and they must be held accountable. They should not take time use the village office at any point to marginalize or discriminate against individuals nor groups. And what we're seeing here is just what is the opposite to what have really sworn to do. And it becomes absolutely important that the line has to be drawn and the rope has to be pulled. We have to do something about it. We cannot allow it, regardless of the circumstances under which they've come face, to use it to marginalize groups or individuals. That's what they are involved in. And they must be told under no uncertain term that this is what we see them and what they may be guilty of. We have to tell them. We have to let them know. Let me give you an example. I saw a video the other day with two men and a chattery. Remember that chattery who said that Jacko and others are not of his ilk? As such, he ought to be at the top. He is now a senior minister and being given the responsibility.
Of course, we all know who that chattery
to advise the government, right? You understand, if he can thinking so about Jack the others and mounting it, what did he do to us? I want people to understand, I want us to understand in this country that the government don't give you anything. What have you been getting? If it's a scholarship, a hospital, a school, it is the resource of the state. And every citizen has a right from the proceeds of the state. I've already chatted today a man who, Darren Wade, said who had the government give us scholarship. The government ain't no scholarship. It is state scholarship. And the faster we come to terms to let these guys understand that this thing is not their property, it's not a government property. We need to let people understand that that is not the way government operate. They believe, as they say, as some, they are rulers. When ruling is different to when you're governing. When you're governing, it is the people's, the will of the people. When you're ruling, autocracy, it is dictatorship. That is what it is. And when I support the idea that this is apartheid state, you have to go and look for the evidence. The evidence are outside there, very clear. If you're not a member, support the PPP, or you raise a concern as PPP. If you're not PPP, or you raise a concern, what it is to make sure that whatever state benefit you're entitled to, you'll be deprived of it. These are acts. The question here is that the laws are not there that speaks to apartheid, but the policies and programs put in place speaks to an apartheid state. And we cannot at any point, we have to speak about it. We have to tell them about it. And we have to fight that it changes. We have to do that. Thank you.
We definitely have to do that. Lincoln Lewis there for us doing the introduction, talking about the apartheid regime. Lots of people, and rightly so, are of the view that Guyana is now an apartheid country. It's not just heading there, it's there. We look at the policies of these individuals who have been installed. They obviously are anti-blacks, anti-African Guyanese, civil, except they want folk to believe that it's just one Guyana. So when they go around in the villages and they hand out pittance, whether it's a 20,000 or 30,000 for back to school, which really doesn't amount to much. But when you look at what the coalition government did in terms of saving parents hundreds of thousands of dollars by providing free transportation for their kids to go to school and from school, and free breakfast, in some cases free lunch, and all manner of things. That is something that is commendable. Not a one-off cash grant and take some photographs and expect people to jump up and praise them and so forth to believe that they're doing well. Because when you look at these cash grants and all these different things, it's a recipe for corruption. And knowing the history of the PPP, one cannot rule out that these cash grants are basically all about a corrupt process, a corrupt regime, and corrupt individuals who are distributing those cash grants and so forth. But before we get back to cash grants, many years ago, Lincoln Lewis, you did coin this term, economic genocide, based on how you see that they are depriving mainly persons of African descent of a lot of things, taking away their lands and not giving them access to all manner of things. We see over 3,000 of them have been fired from the public service sector, and all as public servants, all manner of things. Are you still sticking to your term, economic genocide, under the PPP, the installed PPP regime in the year 2022?
Let me say to you, it is a program that has been developed, that has been conceptualized, and it has been developed and implemented by a regime that decided that they are going to marginalize African people. The evidence is there. I went to the Ethnic Relations Commission some years ago, and I presented the evidence, and they tried as far as practicable what I was saying. Let me tell you what's happening now. The ancestors throughout the country, efforts are being made. The government, there's a program where they are now surveying lands and pass lands off to persons who were not, whose family had nothing to do with those lands. Those ancestral lands were Africans who bought them. And what they have done is to really, it's heart-wrenching to see what they're doing. They're taking these lands away from the cooperatives. Why they are after these cooperatives and credit unions? It's because these cooperatives have a lot of land under their belt, in their possession. So what they're attempting to do is to take those lands, control the cooperatives, take away those lands and give it to their friends and cronies. Let me tell you what. A lot of African people are of the view to say that we don't want to fight for it. But let me tell you what. I'll urge everybody, wherever you are conscious that the African lands your ancestral lands exist, I will say to them, occupy that land. Occupy it. Where there are state lands, I'll urge them, if they want to get involved in any agriculture or so forth, apply for it. Apply for the land. There must be a new one. I would want to say that there must be a new movement in the African community where we band ourselves together and crusade across this country to protect ancestral lands, and where people want lands to do business, that we fight together with them to make sure that they be given their just share. You can't tell me that there are people who don't live in this country, don't born in this country, can come to this country and get hundreds of thousands of acres of land. And we who born, bred here, we have paid the price, can get a couple acres. When it comes to the African man, you know what this government is doing? They give them a house lot. And when you talk about the distribution of land, they tell you how many Africans have had house lots in this country. How many they give. Yes, you give me a house lot. But I want to plant a couple mango tree. I want to plant some avocado. And I want to plant maybe 1 or 2 tamarind. I want to plant some pawpaw. Why we can't get at least 10 acres of land? We have to fight for it. We have to let them know that this land is not only for them. For instance, I see you putting up there, Mark. This is a man from Kimeri area. He has been there for years. And suddenly is that he get a lease too. And suddenly they walk up and tell he must give the land up. Right here and tell you, and he can't move. He can't resist movement. I want to tell you something. We, our people, we fought against slavery. And if slavery didn't crush us, let me put them on notice that this can't crush it. We have to fight back.
Definitely. And fighting back, usually when terms such as fight back and stand up for your rights and so forth, apartheid regime and racist PPP regime. Recently, I saw that Anil Nandalal and the likes of the PPP there are afraid of those sort of words. And so as what we saw Gail Teixeira is saying that the word repercussion used by Aubrey Norton, the leader of the opposition, the police, she's inviting the police to go and question him about that term repercussion. Now you're saying fighting, and I agree with you. We've got to fight back the PPP. They just don't like those terms. How dangerous it is that these people want to come after folks like us for the usage of those sort of words.
I am not worried about what Gail Teixeira is saying. What I am worried about is that if she understands what she's doing, if she and your bunch of them understand what they're doing. Let me tell you what. They are the people who are creating a problem. Now, nobody creating a problem for them. They are creating a problem. And like they playing the music and they're dancing at the same time. Let me make this point, Mark. They're giving you a house lot. But when you take that house lot and look at that house lot, this is an age, that we're talking about. Every time they talk, they tell you, oh, it's the fastest growing economy. 40% they like to boast about it. Yes, it's the fastest growing economy. But I want to tell you something. You take the man who have worked for 40 35 years he has been working, and he has been honest living, getting dollar, minding family and what have you, and helping family. But you give him a house lot, something about 40 by what? 80 or something of the sort you're giving this man. But Barajadio, get 2 house lot, you know. One in Pradoville, one, and within a short time you get one in Pradoville too. But today they're boasting about the 40, 47 or 48%, how fast this economy is growing. They're talking about that, boasting about it. But you giving a man a house that he will put a 2-bedroom house. You compare the man house to what Barrett and them people, all of them compare that to where they're living in. Right? They don't want you to enjoy the sweet or the goodies of this life, of this country. It is only for them. And that's why every day they act, they are committing what they do, conforms the accusation of apartheid in this country. They're giving some people can walk in. Or somebody call from someplace and he can get 10 house lots. And you get him you call this week, you can get him next week. But the small man who wants a house lot, he got to go early morning and line up in breakdown, spend a whole day, and he got to be doing a lot of things before we can get that. Right? Let me tell you this. It's time for action. It's time that this behavior change. We have to work to bring about the change.
We definitely have to work and do more than just work to bring about the change. Let me take time out to recognize former Minister of Agriculture, a stalwart, Simpson Perry de Silva, man from Quarantine. I believe it's not Liverpool, could be Lancaster under Quarantine. And for those of you who don't know Simpson Perry de Silva, he is probably still is known to be the youngest minister under the People's National Congress government. Youngest minister. He was then the Minister of Agriculture.
He was the youngest minister. He is still the youngest person being a minister in this country.
Thank you.
He's still the youngest person.
Yeah. And we have seen all of this on the Burnham and the PNC. Thank you so much for that correction. So let's welcome on board Simpson Perry de Silva, who's watching. I recall as a little boy under Quarantine, we knew all of the ministers, and the ministers were all qualified. And these people knew their jobs. They knew exactly what needed to be done. They weren't like lagu bagus and pakus, like most of what we're seeing running around here today, pomposetting themselves as ministers. So let us welcome, as part of our listeners, Dr. Simpson Perry de Silva. He's listening, and let's also welcome PNC Coalition Council out there in Corriverton. Pastor Anil Sugrim is with us again this evening, and all those of you who are now joining us. Lincoln, let's move on to some other stuff. Local government elections. First, we heard that it could have been sometime in November, then sometime in December, sometime in January. But now we are hearing that there's a possibility that it would be held in February. We know that the PPP has a history of lying. Every day they lie to the people of Guyana. But apart from lying to the people of Guyana, they have a history of not liking local government elections at all. During their 23 years reign, 23 years, they have held local government elections once. During the coalition's government, 5 years, they've held local government elections twice. We should have had local government elections by now. But here we go again with this sort of sad dance by the PPP. Your take on this sort of shifting of the dates every day?
I believe that what they want is to do as they like. They want, we see happen with the list. When the PPP was in the opposition, the list was bad. It was wrong. Now that the government, the list is good. Say whether they want the election or they don't want the election. It's power. And the power is they can sit at Freedom House and they can tell people in Region 9 what must happen, Region 6 what must happen. And they can call INDC chairman and tell him that we're not going to talk with you if you don't do A, B, C, or D. We are going to come and we are going to do it and forget you. They don't want local government. What they want, these people don't believe in governance. These people believe in dictatorship. You hear people, everybody speak that they rule. These rulers, they don't govern anything. They don't care about constitution. They don't care about laws. To hell with those things. We get money, we're going to spend it. Let me give you an example. Look how they treat with the consolidated fund. The monies that they go to Parliament and get from them, they pass a budget, and within months, they were back there. They were back there asking for more money again. It is not disasters that we have had around the place. And before the year end, they're going to come again and they're going to go to the consolidated fund. And to hell was who speak about it. We have the majority in Parliament, we're going to pass it and we're going to spend it. But at the same time, they don't want to account for the spending. But they want other people to account. Like now, the black organizations, the African organizations, like Coffee 250, like Ipadaji now, they want to have what? They want to have from Ipadaji all their receipts, payment vouchers, and everything must be delivered to them. And these are the same people who pay out cash grants and do not want to account for it. And when African people need to understand something, that what these guys are doing when they start with the Ipadaji and Coffee People is that they are cutting off the neck, cut off the head, the heads of the leadership of the black community, African community. That's what they're doing.
Well, let me cut you there for a moment, please, Lincoln, to remind people and to support your point is what they did to the credit union in Linden, what they're doing to the credit union in Georgetown. All African organizations, they're attacking. They're making it look as though African Guyanese cannot run a business, cannot run an organization, and all these manner of things. And that is dangerous. These are the very people who are installed under questionable circumstances they're in office, do not want to be held accountable. Look at the Commissioner of Information. He's been there for the past 2 years, receiving $70 million, doing what only God knows. He is at his house. Taxpayers might be paying rent there, paying all of his utility bills, all manner of things. They don't want to be held accountable. What about the accusations leveled by Sue against Jack Dio about hundreds of millions and billions of dollars in terms of fraud, allegations of fraud, and all these manner of things, but yet they're targeting African organizations to show their books and all manner of dotishness. Speaking of that, Mr. Lewis, let's get to something that some trickery again that the PPP is up to. And I do say trickery because it is what it is, trickery. Anil Nandalal is now asking GCOM to provide APNU AFC voter fraud evidence. Now, listen to this, please, Lincoln and our listeners. This is downright barefaced. It is corruption at every level. They have an elections petition, 2 elections petitions right now. They're supposed to have some sort of commission of inquiry and all manner of things. This man, Anil Nandalal, was accused of electoral fraud. Accused, mind you, when he was caught on the east coast of Demerara, allegedly doing some jiggery pokery when Basil Williams and Amna Ali went over there to clarify what the heck he was doing. Now, how uncomfortable this is, or it ought to be for every Guyanese, that a man who is pomposetting himself as the Attorney General, knowing that their court matters, pending court matters, questioning the outcome of the election, he is now asking GCOM to provide voter fraud evidence to him. What is your take on this, Lincoln, and how dangerous this is for Guyana?
Let me tell you, let me make this point very clear. The strength of Nandalal and the others is that they have no damn shame. This is a man who had charges in front of the court, in this court. You were charged and put on this court, before this court, for certain infractions. And he fought tooth and nail through that did not go to trial. Right? When the government changed and he became a minister, the first thing that was done is they took the opportunity to drop all the charges. That man don't have no moral to people anything. But who may be involved in criminality or anything? This man is involved in activities that undermines justice in this country. Can't do that. Instead of people that have the strength of this, if decency fall on his lap, he will not be able to recognize it. If honest falls on his head, he will run away. He will be scared about it. Don't worry them. What we got to do is mobilize in our own little way to make sure that they don't crush the African community. You know what was encouraging as I speak? Last night I was on David Hines, and today I had some calls. And among those calls, there were people of 3 races: African, Indian, American. And all of them encouraged me to continue prosecuting this. It's that the enemies of the state, and people who have hands on the levers of power. While you may have some people may come on the program and cause all kind of thing, they are trolls and they pay them to come and do that. They gotta live, I understand. But I'll tell you something. These guys are enemies. I must treat them like enemies.
I agree with you 100%. They are enemies of the state. They are enemies of the state, enemies of the people, and they should be treated as such. Enemies indeed. They're running an apartheid state. We've got to stop them by any and every constitutional and legal means necessary. They've got to be stopped. And now let me say, you mentioned earlier that Anil Nandalal did his jiggery pokery and cuss out Jack Dew, and all of them call them probably Nimakaram, Katahar, He's the lowest level, and he branded himself as a Chatri. And therefore, since he's a chatri, meaning upper class, Jagdeo and them are the lower class, probably Chamar and so forth. This was a conversation he is not denied, recorded by then reporter of Kaito News, Gildari, who now sits on a so-called show with his sidekick Freddie. But this is the conversation, and we were told that this is the voice of Anil Nandalal. So let's get straight into this conversation, and you'll understand exactly what Lincoln Lewis referred to earlier. That if he can consider Jagdeo and others in the PPP as low lives, as basically Chamar, and he's a Chatri because Chamar is supposed to be lower than a Chatri. Listen to this, and this was when Glenn Lal, along with his lawyer Ramjatan, and others went to Ivleri to make that report about threats on the lives of reporters and staff at Kaito News. From this recorded conversation by Gildari that he had with Anil Nandalal. Anil has not denied that the voice is his. I'm sure he has not. And this is the level of the conversation. He was then sitting as Attorney General. And I guess this is why Courtney Crummy Wing went out and started protesting in front of Anil's office. And lo and behold, not so long after, Courtney Crummy Wing was brutally murdered. He was assassinated. It stemmed from Courtney protesting because of this level of conversation by someone. The voice is said to be Anil Nandalal, Let's get straight into this conversation with Gildari, who is now pro PPP.
Hey, Gildari. How you discount the market? Who's jealous? Somebody jealous? The man to get one is not to be serious. But seriously, think about what the man is. Is that right? No, man, what happened in the day, I guess it goes so far for man. Well, you know that you see, no, I'm not proud of you, but all I'm saying, I think never tell you. The man never tell you that he didn't do it, he got to live in Guyana. The man said he lives here, he got to travel. Well, like that, the man said that he comes, like us. The man number 5, 4. Of course, he's detained in the whatever it is, because I had to, of course, I had to do
All right, this is the very conversation that you heard Anil actually describe Jagdeo and them as basically Chamar. And the conversation is at the level of asking who the reporter, the female reporter, was that wrote that story. And the quick thing that came to mind is that someone lashed the girl. And those of you who know lash means in Guyana term, one lash the girl. And that's the level of conversation from that voice is said to be the then Attorney General Anil Nandalal is talking about lashing a reporter. having sex with a reporter, a young reporter. That's all on the mind. And so, in that very conversation, also had to do with his uncle getting some duty-free concession on the false pretext because his uncle was not entitled to that sort of remigrant duty-free concession, and that is what the article was all about. And so Anil Nandalal, assuming that that's the voice, mind you, guys, come on, assuming that that's the voice, called Gildari. Gildari admitted that that was Anil Nandalal who called him. In fact, I've had conversations with Gildari who felt afraid, he felt threatened, and the staff at Kaitor News themselves felt threatened. That is why you saw Glenn Lal went into Kaitor News, and made that report. Let's get back to, and in this conversation again, we heard that he, assuming again that that's his voice, described himself as a chatri, that he's a chatri. And Jagdev and them are basically chamar, they're katahar, they're Kohi, they're comes, they're nobody. Anil said that. And what Lincoln Lewis has said is that if he has that sort of view about Jagdev and them, just imagine his take on persons of African descent. Over to you, Conrad Lincoln Lewis.
This guy, I don't know if he review at any point the things he has been doing, because he can. That's what he did at that point, and he come back now. Pay it coffers. On television refer to black people, black leaders as lunatics type of thing. It tells you the man we're dealing with. And we can't take it for granted. People have to understand that when he does that to their leaders, it is only time he's going to do it. And we have to be strident in our response to this guy. We cannot be and believing that things this guy's changed like this, you know. We have to band ourselves together. We have to move from talk doing some other things for ourselves. We ask them to contribute our state. We have to come develop our plans, and we have to change our state. We have to do it. There's no choice. Will not be, if we don't do something about it, we are going to move from our apartheid state, and we are going to go right back to slavery under these. We are getting the impression that while we have had slavery by Europeans, there's a new group of men and women who believe they can enslave you. Masters we have, and we have to, and not under Mark Benschop, not under our watch. It has to change. We have to change it. We have to let them know. We have to let them, they will not mock us. They will want to threaten us about the law and what I do. Yes, the same law that we talk about that apply to us is not applied to you. You can call us names, saying derogatory things about, and do not expect us to respond. And more so, if we have a problem, they must be prepared. If they are in the seat of political power, they have to sit down and listen to us. Don't tell us that our pain does not exist. This is our pain. We feel it. So don't tell me you don't exist. As far as we are concerned, apartheid exists in this country. And because apartheid exists in the country, if you believe it's not, then it is not me to show you where apartheid is. You need to come and sit at the table with us for us to say to you why we are doing so and where it hurts, right? And have them corrected. Something has to be done.
You know,
we can't be making up these things.
Lincoln.
For instance, let me just make this point.
Go ahead, sir. Yeah.
When they just let me make point.
Sure, go ahead.
When you and me that the president walking around and telling the opposition, man, shake me hand. Let me. What you shake hands for? What shaking hands for? When at this time you have the baton, you have the baseball bat and everything, and you're clubbing the people who elect as leader of the opposition. You're clubbing them. You're denying them the opportunity for economic growth. You're denying them the freedom of expression. And at the same time, you're telling me, I must be civil and shake you for what? What nonsense are we going on with? I can't be civil to people who are uncivil to me. How can that happen? So I don't know where we get over here. That this must, we must demand our just share and our just place in society. To do otherwise, to fail heirs. Fail those people who slavery. Those people who and left them for us. Those people who made schools, who started schools for us. You understand that? Okay? Thank you.
All right, well said, Lincoln Lewis there. You did say that there comes a time that all of us should be at that table to discuss how we feel about this apartheid system in Guyana. Let me say this to you, Lincoln, that when dealing with oppressors and oppressive regimes such as the PPP regime and so forth, we can't sit and expect them to invite us to any table. We are not going to be invited. They shut the door. They don't want us around. They're oppressing our people. All manner of things they're doing, mainly toward African persons of African descent. They are also oppressing folks who have taken a stand against them. Some of our Indian brothers and sisters in Guyana as well, and our indigenous brothers and sisters are being oppressed as well. But the bulk of people who are being oppressed under this oppressive regime, this installed regime, happen to be persons of African descent. And so this reminds me of a story when a person who was enslaved was talking about Massa and how Massa was ill-treating him. And so one day he decided to snatch Massa's rifle. He didn't do anything bad to Massa other than held on to this rifle. And from that day on, everything he wanted was given to him and the other people on that plantation. The point that I'm making here now, this oppressive, this racist, this apartheid regime in Guyana headed by Irfan Ali and Jack Dale and others, we cannot expect them to open the door and gently invite us to sit at the table. There are two things we've got to do. Either ensuring that we take the table away from them, take the doors away from them, take the chairs away from them, and start our own conversations. And then they will be forced to join us and to join the conversation. And it's either two things: get their damn act together or be kicked out of office next elections, whenever elections are held. Elections should have been held almost right away. But because of corruption, maybe at the judicial level, and the sort of corruption that we're seeing, and questionable acts coming from Anil Nandalal and the likes, forcing GCOM to hand over evidence provided on evidence on electoral fraud by the coalition. That by itself is fraudulent. It should be deemed unacceptable. But here is my next question, Lincoln. Do you believe that the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission would hand over those documents to Anil? And if so, what should be the repercussion?
Let me tell you what. I have been following the Election Commission over the years. And I will not be surprised if the chairman of the Election Commission finds some document to give to Anil Nandala. I will not be surprised if they sit down at some meeting and the PPP side vote and said these documents will be handed, and she vote and say yes, they must be handed. I will not be surprised.
But
I want to
Lincoln,
tell you,
one second. She served as a judge for many years. She herself was oppressed under Jack Dale. Threats on her life under Jack Dale and the PPP's regime and all manner of things. She was running helter-skelter. She is a former judge. She should know that that is illegal. You cannot hand over no evidence to someone who is a party to a lawsuit, a party to the elections petition. And
what's wrong?
A commission of inquiry. She should know that. And by now, one second, sir. By now, a statement should have been issued by her office to say that that is an illegal act. And Anil Nandalal is heading down the wrong path. She has been silent so far. That by itself is suspicious. Go ahead, sir.
Mark, let us. You are saying what should have happened. I am going to tell you, Mark, that will never happen. And I want to be proven wrong. It will never happen. I am disappointed. The Election Commission has come to. Because I'm disappointed. I don't believe that to have another election with that commission, we should not. I do not believe that the chairman in our right as chairperson has not conducted herself in a manner that she has been able to develop the trust and confidence of nearly half of this society. When you know what is taking place, they have voted for the PPP in the last election. Even some people voted. They list something must be done about it. It is not something that we can live with. You know, a man was telling me, I was talking to a young man. He lives on the east bank of Burbies, just around Lighthouse area. And the man was making the point that his father died last year. And as they're doing this list, his father died. And this list, this also thing. He said the list come back. His father's name is off the list. But you get people who died long before his father. Their names are on the list. Everybody knew that they were open to the PPP. But his father and their family supported the coalition. And his name is now. Something wrong with this society. Something can be done. Let me tell you something. change is something you work for every day. You don't wait for something to happen 2 years down the road. If you can 2 years down the road or 3 years down the road, yeah, you can change a government. Now to them, every day we must prosecute these issues to make sure we get what we want. Get to what is just and fair for us. We can't relent. If we leave these people for the next 3 years to say that you're going to election and then you want to deal with issues of land and all this type of thing, by the rate they're going, they will divide up this country between themselves, among themselves, in fact. Divide this country that by the time you may have another government, there's nothing left for some in this society. These people, let me tell you what, you see the land between on the road to Letem from around Rockstone area there, right on. Those people have already started a massive program of dividing this land among themselves. They will not change. They believe that they must take everything for a few of them. And after that, the masses must grovel. And let me tell you something. When they finish with the African and deny them, are wrong. And Indian and American after, because avaricious about them and the family and the friends, they will go after them and take away what they have. You don't understand what is happening. Guys, these are few of them. We have in Guyana, our politicians in Guyana are among the richest people in the Caribbean. Our politicians, a few of them, are among the richest in the Caribbean. They don't care who they deny rights. They don't care who they deny opportunities. But I want to come back to you, man. We can't stand to allow them to destroy Apartheid, Coffee 250, or any African organization. We have to rally with them. The first doing, you see what they did? When they come to the Public Service Credit Union, they know that Trevor Beno and he has great plans and the committee has great plans. They come to start about this credibility. He's not credible. He mustn't be. You see when they come, but Vincent Alexander and the group of them say they collected money. This thing is them on state money and it's them business and what have you. While they prove it's not so. Look, none of them who talking. Then turn to say about Jagno. I didn't hear the same people talking about a man who get 2 households within 10 years, less than 10 years. Not proud of 1 and 1. We didn't hear that. We have to come back to those type of things. You have Sue, Jaguar's news must be on the table every day. Don't stop it. That's where we are, boy. We got to fight back.
That's where we are. We've got to fight back. We've got to fight back.
I'm calling on the
Can't lose this struggle.
African brother. You gotta fight. You gotta fight.
Exactly.
We gotta protect the ancestral land. We gotta protect the ancestral. And we gotta protect. And we have to go after some.
And we are keeping an eye on what's going to be. Thank you. What's going to be the outcome with what Anil is requesting? This is an illegal. It's an illegal act in any other part of the world. Anil would have been sent packing off that office, out of that office that he occupies, albeit through illegal means at this time, through questionable elections results. And so here is it that we're talking about: Anil's brazen move to ask GCOM to provide APNU AFC's voter fraud evidence. Now, I don't know why he's asking GCOM to provide that to him and for what purpose, but we're watching to see if the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission is going to adhere to that request from Anil Nandala.
So wait, he tried the case already, so he know who is guilty, and he know that there's a fraud. The matter before the court, you carry some people before the court, but you asking, you saying that they're guilty already.
Oh yeah,
they have absurdity. But let me tell you something, Mark. Mark, let me tell you something.
Go ahead, sir. Yeah.
I remember going in front of a judge who is now deceased on an issue, that same issue at Russell. I went in front of the then Chief Justice. Not this one, Chief Justice before. When it finished, when Basil Williams was the law, when they finished in the case, the judge turned and he said, "What is it if this is it? You are in front of me." He said, "Go and do A, B, C." And we left the court on the issue that what the judge said. When we go back a couple months after for the get the order, pick up the order, the man rates different. When you read this thing here, you want to be the same court that we were in.
But did you expect anything different from that particular man who is now dead, Ian Chang, who was the acting Chief Justice? Did you expect anything? Remember, it is said that his right-hand man, his actually bag man, was a guy named Chief Mike. His tout, allegedly his tout. So you couldn't expect. This is a man, when my attorney approached him to say that based on my legal caption there at and was forced into spending 5+ years at Camp Street. This is a man who said that there's nothing there for me. Don't waste your time with any lawsuit. Ian Chang, he's dead. He's gone. Next. But I'm not surprised at what you just said there. So
what I'm saying,
yep.
That I've experienced that, I'll be happy to know that the judges today are not and will not go down that road. I'll be happy to know. That's all I will to say.
Don't hold your breath on that. Some of them might be so happy and willing to go down that road without hesitation. We're seeing it. It's happening. So I'm seeing it. I'm not that optimistic that all of them are going to stand strong when it comes to the law and when it comes to the Constitution. They ought to stand strong, but some of them are so weak. I recall that we had a strong magistrate that you and I and Norris Witter appeared in front, all because we were exercising our constitutional rights by protesting in front of the then Commissioner of Police office. Lo and behold, van loads of police came, just grabbed us and dumped us in Brick Dam lockups. Those were dreaded PVP days. And so we have every right to describe these vagabonds in office right now through questionable circumstances. We have every right to describe them as apartheid regime. But remember, we appeared in front of that magistrate and she refused. She refused to send us to jail, that magistrate. You remember that case, Lincoln? You remember those 3 nights?
Yeah, very much. Very much. Very much.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Reminiscent again of the apartheid South Africa. We are now seeing the apartheid PPP in Guyana. 3 nights in Brickdam lockup, so what only God knows, for standing up for people's rights. So we have every right to describe these vagabonds, these criminals in office as the regime as an apartheid regime. Lincoln, you want to add something else? We're looking at the time, sir.
Let me take this opportunity to thank you for inviting me once again. And let me say to the viewers that we have to up the game. We can't sit down and allow this opportunity to go wasted. We have to start, as I said before, we have to start, let me reiterate, we have to protect ancestral land, and we got to go and apply for land, state land. And let me tell you what, there are concessions that are being given by it to invest for such investment. Do not allow those concessions to be free and so forth to go passing you. Go there, get the list, apply, and when they don't give you, come let me talk about it publicly.
We got to do more than just talking about it. We've got to do more than just talking about these things, because coming not to
I want to tell you, Mark. Mark,
before you tell me
start somewhere.
We've been talking for 2+ years, and these vagabonds in office, look at what they're doing to people, mainly persons of African descent. Look at what they're doing to their lands. They're snatching people's lands away. Look at what happened on the Linden. One second, sir. 1 second. Look at how they're snatching lands away from people on the Linden Suzdijk Highway. Lincoln, look at what they did to you. They were brave enough to do that to you. And Anil Nandalal went into your area where your ancestors fought for those lands. And he told his people to go. You go, take a land, take a land. What has happened to that case? You have had 3 charges against you. Tell us what has happened.
All the charges were dismissed earlier this year. I went to court from November last year. On February this year, I've been in court every month, not like twice a month, until the cases were dismissed. In fact, let me say to you that I can publicly say, you know, I'm a poor man to the lawyer. He was there with me and see me the time, you know. That's it. That's all.
Congratulations.
But I want to say, let me say again that I will not relent. I will not relent.
Don't do that at all. Quickly, Lincoln. We're glad that you won your case.
A change to come. Thank you,
just an example to show what the state attempted to do to you and your ancestors or your relatives. Take the land away and even encourage their supporters or a person who are said to be their supporters to go and take your land away. These guys are, I don't know, these guys are presumptuous, man. Whatever has happened, there's something is happening with these guys. Something is wrong with them. But before we leave, Lincoln, we heard so much about this guy, Bascom, Detective Sergeant Bascom. He was part of an investigating team there at CID headquarters investigating folks connected to this guy who loves to be seen when he's described as a so-called prominent businessman, believes that he's on top of the world, believes that he probably owns Guyana. You see him with the other one who always talk this propaganda talk about one Guyana. You see him there with this other guy that sits there as the acting commissioner of police. And this is one of his security guy who was wanted, and who is a murder suspect, but hasn't turned himself into the police. But the police and these folks in the install regime are going after this guy, Mr. Bascom, Sergeant Bascom. What is your take on this whole fiasco, sir?
Let me say to you that it is difficult, very difficult to understand thing hit at the core of the investigating arm, CID. It is there. The North, the crime chief is named in this fiasco. And it's indicative that what they do is that they aid and abet lawlessness. None of us lives or city can be preserved under these people. Something if that are going to end easily, I believe that to clear the name or to hide what is behind it, they will do things that are injurious to the safety of the police and those who talk about it. That's how they behave. You go back to the back of Syria. What they did in a quarter, by accident, and then take him out the day before we were supposed to give evidence. You gotta understand who we're dealing with. We are dealing with a bunch of brigands, buccaneers. We have to take, that's why I'm saying we have to move beyond just talking. We have to work assiduously to have it. While dialogue is important, it is important to always advocate this. While they are still fighting in the Middle East, in Libya places, they are still sitting down in Europe, in New York, discussing how you can bring resolution to conflict. At the end of time, we have to talk we have to work for resolution. We have to put systems in place. We have to we question some people. I see some people say change in constitution. Let me tell you something. All these things that the government doing, they are not the constitution to do so. If you have a bunch of people who don't respect laws, even in the police force, we don't respect laws. There's no law we respect. Tell me, we don't respect law. Change the constitution, you believe you don't respect the constitution. These people, and lawless people, you have to treat them in a certain way. You have to use the law and such. I don't get to tell you.
All right, Lincoln Lewis there for you. If this guy is so concerned about proper treatment, he should turn himself over to CID headquarters to be questioned. Azardine Mohammed should take his security guy with him as well, Mark Richmond, to be questioned. To be questioned, mind you, to be questioned according to the CID ranks. Nobody has disputed that he is a suspect, mind you. Suspect. They are suspects in the murder of Paper Shards, and they need to do the right thing. The police needs to do the right thing and arrest these guys. Azardine Mohammed, arrest him, take him in for questioning, mind you, and let us get to the bottom of this thing here. So to sue Boston for $200 million and that Jim Cockburn Ramwood story is not just going to drive fear into Bascom. In fact, we urge Bascom to stand strong and continue to fight because you're on the right side of justice, Bascom. This was the cop that I was speaking earlier. We see here, police officer in custody over death of motorcyclist, right? In custody, police officer in custody. Well, when the relative of this guy, yeah, Azardine Mohammed, a relative of his, I believe is his wife or whoever it is, got into an accident. 2 persons were killed on Mandela Avenue there. We didn't see a headline that said Azardine Mohammed's wife in custody. We didn't see that, right? No. Well, we saw everything was settled and matter done, story done. But here it is, a police officer in custody over death of motorcyclists. That's the Guyana we're living in, right? Unfortunately, that's the Guyana. Lincoln, quickly before you go. Look, Linden is getting road, man. Look at the road, and this is going to cost millions of dollars. But look at the roads. Have you seen roads like that before, sir?
I don't know what is where it's been. Well, let me tell you something, man. Is that the work that the government has and how long it lasts. I knew that done some work in a million extension there some years ago. After a couple of months when I drove into the area, what I had was some craters after they have constructed those roads. I hope it's not the same quality, you know, Lindeners this, but it will not be surprised that the same thing, big holes, big craters a short while, because the boss got to spend the money and have to change it around. We got to make sure that the money is being purposed and what we see. That's it.
All right. Thank you so much, Lincoln Lewis. Appreciate your time. Appreciate every time you're on the show with us. I appreciate what you do for all Guyanese, and continue to do that. Continue to be strong physically, mentally, spiritually, and intellectually. God bless you. Thank you so much, sir. Give my regards to your family.
Thank you. I shall.
Yeah, thank you so much. Lincoln Lewis there for you guys. And here it is that we are talking about this so-called road. Is this what you call a road? Take a good look at this. You just sprinkle a little brick on it, and that's it. And millions of dollars. And then they go into the community. They're going into Linden to say to Lindeners, look, we're doing roads for you. This time they're not doing roads, you know. They're creating these sort of projects in order to swindle money from the taxpayers. This is fraud. This is corruption. Whoever this contractor is should be charged along with the relevant minister. Charge them for this. This is crap. I've never seen roads like this before. Somebody's driveway or passageway is not even like this. Look at this. And then you call it road. And then you go into communities and you say, look, Abia do I a road. Abia do I a road. Coalition I do nothing for you. But Coalition, when they did, and Coalition did a heck of a lot of roads, mind you, they weren't looking like this. This is not even road. This is something that you wouldn't even do for those on the quarantine who still use latrine. And those in Freedom House who have latrine right there at Freedom House or even at the office of the president, because a set of latrine dwellers are currently occupying office of the president. You won't even have such a project leading to your latrine. The comfort zone, mind you. Those were the days, right? Good. Sorry about that. You wouldn't even do this, but yet these people have the audacity to even publish this and say, look. Them a do roads. Them a do road in Linden. I hope the Lindeners are not going to fall for this crap, because this is not road. What vehicle could drive here? Not even a bicycle. Not even a child walking to school. 2 vehicles can't fit here unless you drive up on that little concrete thing that they put there. Is that a passageway? Is that walkway or sidewalk? These people are ridiculous. They have no goddamn shame. That is why we say that Guyana is an apartheid regime heading it. Guyana is apartheid right now as a result of these vagabonds, these bandits, these criminals who are running that country, those racists who are running that country. Imagine the audacity of this guy here. Right, forget about this. Local government election going to held November, it's going to held December, it's going to held January. Now we hear it's going to be held in February. Then they're going to change to after Pagua. Then they're going to change to after Easter. Then they're going to change again. It's going to change. I put my $10. I get $10 right now. I put that on the line that they are not going to be having local government elections. But getting back to Anil now, asking GCOM to provide. Can you provide APNU AFC voter fraud evidence? How the heck can you ask GCOM? And this guy sits with the FBI, and FBI wants information or to tell him that whatever it is, that they want certain individuals who are described as, they love to be described as prominent businessmen, and they feel that they're most honest individuals in the country. I'm speaking of businessmen in general, so-called businessmen, and not one specific one, right? Discussing, and also drug lords. Well, some of these so-called prominent businessmen are known in international law enforcement agencies, not as prominent businessmen, They are known, they are being described as other than prominent businessmen. That is what I assume the FBI agents were wanted to gather information and to tell Anil that they will be submitting some form of extradition so that those so-called prominent businessmen can be extradited, either for drug smuggling, whether it is gold smuggling, whether it is whatever else, money laundering, whatever. But this is Anil who sits with the FBI agents and asks them to, can you take a look at these guys who are on social media? Can you take the FBI aren't concerned about that? And again, that's an act of illegality to tell foreign agents that they should be spying on persons in the United States of America, citizens, etc., etc. It is a crime. Anil Nandalal should know that. But then again, why are we surprised at Anil Nandalal? This is a guy who not so long ago sat at the Caribbean Court of Justice and embarrassed the entire Guyana. You know what I mean? Even all of the justices were looking at them in awe, like so shocked, like, is this guy really the Attorney General of Guyana who can't even pronounce Kenya, is pronouncing Kenya as Kenya? I wonder which law school this guy attended. But here it is again, he's up to his old tricks. He's now saying that GCOM should provide evidence. This is a crime. This is fraud. And I hope that the leader of the opposition, we do have a leader of the opposition and crew. Yes, we do have crew, meaning we do have members of parliament who most of them seem to have gone into some sort of slumber after they have been unjustly, mind you, suspended from parliament. So we're not saying, oh, Father God, I don't know what more to say about some of these chaps in the opposition. I honestly don't know what more to say. I see some of the people who wanted to kill some other people, politically speaking, for the Aubrey Norton. They now, oh gosh, they're attacking Aubrey Norton left, right, and center. Them ain't no shame. Them attack Aubrey. But rewind about 5-6 months ago, oh my mama, Aubrey Norton was the best thing since sliced bread for these guys. The best thing since sliced bread for these guys who are now attacking Aubrey Norton. Now, let me say this about Aubrey Norton. He deserves some sort of attack. Constructive criticism. Don't get me wrong. He deserves some. Again, don't get me wrong. But, when people attach emotions to things and all manner of things, those are people that we got to be suspicious of, because when people put their hands up and give up on all kind of things, I want to stay far from those people. But I'm saying, as justified as some of them are in terms of their emotional criticisms against Aubrey Norton, I still do believe that Aubrey Norton needs to take some of those criticisms and work on it. There are some things that he should work on. And if he works on those sort of things in terms of inclusivity, in terms of, listening to others and so forth, and not thinking that he's the best thing since sliced bread, he's the best political scientist on earth and all these manner of things, Aubrey, You got to wake up. You got to shape up. You got to start including people. You got to start accepting the fact that your opinions are not always the best, and your suggestions are not always the best. You've got to be open-minded if you want to come over as a good leader. You've just got to do that. You can't dismiss people and all manner of things. And you've got to do more than these press conferences, my friend. You've got to do more. I'm not going to be like the ones who have already thrown you, the friends of yours who have already thrown you under the bus, who have already done crucified you. I'm not going to crucify you. I'm not going to crucify you, sorry. I'm not going to throw you under the bus, but I will offer constructive criticism because I still believe that there are rooms for improvement and you can be improved. And I'd like to see you improve yourself. So I'm not going to attach any sort of emotionalism and any sort of tantrum and all these sort of things. I'm not that type. It's not in my DNA to do that. That's for other people, not for Mark Benschop. But for now, I've got to go. Let me quickly peruse some of your comments. I say hi to all of you guys. Somebody's saying Aubrey did just want to go to Parliament. Hey, speaking of that, let me say hi to Vola Lawrence. Vola Lawrence, just prior to going into Parliament, she did say that she wants to go into Parliament to offer leadership and all sort of things. Leadership, this, that. We're not seeing these people. Whatever the heck happened to them? And then when you talk about these things, they get vexed, their bumps raised, they don't want to, well, not in the case of Aubrey, bumps and Vola bumps. Jack Dale, they get bumps, and Anil, they get bumps. Sorry about that. Ask me some other time for my explanation about that, but they don't have that. But you know what happened? You know what happened today? Somebody's saying that they found drugs in baby wipes and all kind of thing. Well, the police have a right to swoop it up, to wipe it up, because all of those nonsense coming out of Guyana, right? But let's stick to our guys, them in the opposition. They need to do more. They need to do more. They need to stop ostracizing people. They need to stop with this vexed face, this upset, and they don't talk to this body and that body, and they always believe they're right about everything. Stop the goddamn selfishness, because you guys are not always right. You guys always don't know it all, and that includes the leader of the opposition. Y'all got to listen to people. As my friend Lemon would say, throw the ball, pass the ball around, but they're running around holding on to the ball, thinking that they're the best thing since sliced bread. No, you're not. And if you want to confront the PPP, this illegitimate regime, this installed regime, this apartheid regime of Guyana, y'all got to get y'all act together. Because if you don't get your act together, not only the ones who and emotions and so forth and so on, you're going to lose a lot of support base. And if you lose that support base, a lot of them will rush over to an independent party, a new party. Now, Aubrey Norton, is that what you want? Sit down, change your ways, talk to people. You don't know it all. And to those MPs who think they know it all, jump on social media, turn up Facebook and turn on the camera and swing their hair to the right and swing it to the left, thinking that they're the new Beyoncés for Guyana. You guys got to get your act together, because that is not politics. It is not modern day politics. It's not about showing off and sitting down and trying to dress and look nice and do up your hair, do up your nails and lipstick and lip gloss and ties and suits and things. That is not it. I am ringing this bell to you guys. I am ringing this bell to you guys. I hope it registers. The bell is loud and clear tonight on 107.1 FM. My name is Mark Benschop. I've got to go. I know sometimes some things I may say that some of you may disagree. It is okay, but it's the truth. Aubrey Norton, get your act together before cat eat your dinner. And I really do mean it. But I've got to go, though. God bless you all. Until tomorrow, same place, same time. Thanks again to our guest, veteran trade unionist, a man of honor, Lincoln Brandon Lewis. And to all of our guests, thank you all for watching. God bless you, and God bless that beautiful country called Guyana. Mwah. So long.
I'm in the mood.
attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington law firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
Source. Maybe the Chinese company that did not get the agreement that they wanted here, maybe they're the ones who told you. Or it could be just a fictitious thing.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jerome?
So my relationship? Nothing. He is...
just get paid. I want to play. The vibes is right. I wanna hug up tight. No time to waste. I wanna work my ways. So come on now, babes. Give me a taste. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on